Hey, everybody, this is Leslie, and you're listening to The Interview with Leslie Heaney. So our summer travel series is continuing this week with a step into one of the most beautiful places in the country, Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And who better to take us out there than Lela Rose, who is the iconic American fashion designer who was formerly in New York but has lived out in Jackson full-time for the past several years. In this conversation, we talk about how Lela got her start in the fashion world and all about her creative life and how it's evolved into a bridal line and most recently into something called Lela Rose Ranch, which is her boutique out in Wilson, Wyoming, which you'll have to visit when you go out. Actually, that should be your first stop from the airport so you can get all of your gear and clothing for your stay in Jackson. We also talk about her entertaining. She gives us entertaining tips from her books and from her life and just from her living out there and utilizing the great outdoors as a backdrop. She gives us a real inside scoop into places off the beaten path. I find her to be absolutely hilarious and inspiring because she's just so enthusiastic and she's constantly creating. And, if she has an idea about something, she's just pursuing it and getting it done. She's a modern day superwoman and just has an infectious spirit. After this episode, I was ready to book a ticket, invite myself over to her house for dinner and spend the night in her glamping tent. And I'm pretty sure after you listen to this, you'll want to do the same. I'm so excited about this week's sponsor, the 10 Mile Distillery. 10 Mile is an American single malt distillery based in the Hudson Valley, about 90 miles north of New York, and it is the maker of the award-winning Little Rest whiskey, made through a slow distillation process with all New York State grains by master distiller Shane Fraser from Scotland. And when I say award-winning, I mean it's earned a 95 out at the whiskey competition in San Francisco and a 96 at the New York International Spirits Competition. This is delicious. If you do not believe me about how delicious this is, the good news for you is that if you're in the New York area, you can go visit this incredible and beautiful distillery yourself. It's set among the most beautiful apple orchard with beautiful views of the mountains behind. Stop by for a leisurely tour or tasting or even enjoy an expertly crafted cocktail. They also have gin and vodka available. They also have this incredibly delicious Thai restaurant that is in residence there from Thursday through Sunday. To learn more about the distillery, you can visit them at 10miledistillery.com/theinterview. All orders will receive 10% off if you put in promo code TheInterview at checkout. So go to www.10miledistillery.com/theinterview to get that discount, that 10% off. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. With that, here's Lela Rose. Love to sort of kick it off by having you kind of tell us, not your full origin story, but how Lela Rose.
So I was born. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, exactly. It was a rainy night in 1970.
It was a rainy morning.
Yes.
No.
So you started out with ready to wear, right?
I started out with ready to wear. I mean, I've had my company for 29 years now, which I find shocking. Every time I say that, I'm like, how old am I? And what am I still doing?
Well, but I mean, a lot. The answer is a lot. But so 29 years ago. So tell us how did you get started? What were you thinking at the time?
Basically, I was as a younger child and just going through high school, I was a terrible student. I love to tell people that I graduated third in my class, which is 100% true, but it was from the bottom.
The upside down third? Yeah.
The upside down third. My dad was always like, she's in the top 97th percentile. And that was seriously my ranking. I was always a really creative person and not an academic. But I was always starting businesses, like from a young age. And in college, I started this business where I was sewing these kind of one-of-a-kind pieces. And I bring this up because I'm not going to start with too much of an origin story, but I bring this up because I was kind of going out to vintage stores and finding these amazing scarves from the 40s and 50s, and I would piece them together, and I was making these vests. It just sounds horrific right now.
No, actually, I could get in the hot tub time machine and go back to the mid to late night.
I'd like to think that they were chic, but then I describe them and I'm like, this sounds horrific. I used Monopoly game pieces as my buttons, so I would sit in the garage and drill holes in them with my dad. And
You had a
I,
car and thimble and the dog.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know I had them all: the dog, the thimble, the car. I mean, I had to keep reordering from Parker Brothers and be like, I've lost all my game pieces. But so I was always starting these businesses, and I started this business in college where I was like, oh, I love fashion. I'm going to go into the fashion industry. And I think that's kind of what made me kind of move to New York, go to Parsons, and get a fashion design degree. And then, of course, me being so headstrong, I was like, after about 3 years of working for people, I was like, I can do this on my own. And basically started my own company, which was ridiculous to be
Did
doing.
you get, was it sort of friends and family investors, or did you start, how did you?
No, it was me and one sewer, and I basically worked out of my apartment, cutting things on my floor. And I had one sewer helping me sew. And I mean, it was a bare bones operation. And I think I had six, like specialty stores that picked us up our first season. And I think 5 out of 6 never paid us. But I just kind of kept, and this is so my personality. I'm a very persistent person who's just like, I have a dream and I'm gonna get there, kind of no matter what. So I'll just keep plugging away and plugging away.
So did you know when you said you're following your dream, like, did you envision yourself kind of having a full ready to wear line, or you just were just?
Oh yeah, like Sweet
Yeah.
Home Alabama came out when I'd been like 5 years in business, and I was like, I'm going to be her.
So awesome. How did you go from kind of those small stores telling you that they not paying you
Not
and you're
paying us.
doing all that stuff to actually,
I just kind of kept plugging away. And I think my third season in business, Neiman's picked us up, which I was like, oh my God, we have made it. Like Neiman Marcus has picked up the collection. I'm in the money. This is
Yes.
this is perfect. Now, of course, at the time, I didn't know anything about our fit, our quality control. So I would say after about carrying us for probably 3 years straight, so 6 seasons, they were finally like, nope, you don't have a handle on this stuff. So it was kind of a double-edged sword because it was so exciting to get an account like that, which helped get other accounts to pick us up. But at the same time, when you can't keep up with your quality control and fit, we had a lot to learn. We were way too young to be having Neiman's pick us up at that time. But
And
somehow,
did they probably end up giving you some direction, or they refer you to people?
oh yeah, they gave us direction and then dropped us because we weren't performing well. And then it took me like 3 more years to get back into Neiman's. But by then, like we really, just had honed our skills better. I would still say we're still constantly honing our skills. We're still constantly learning. In this business, you're only as good as your last collection. And so just kind of got to roll with it.
So you did the ready to wear, and then you did Lela Rose Bridal. I think that was the order of things. Stop me if I'm wrong. Did you?
Yeah, that's right.
Was it because you saw a gap in the market there, or?
In ready to wear, I really based, kind of what we were doing on the dress. And the dress has always been something I've totally believed in, because it was one zip and done. You didn't have to worry about proportions. And, growing up in Texas, I always loved kind of being dressed. So the dress was kind of the hallmark of what we did. And then, I really have always seen ourselves as being this kind of lifestyle entertaining collection, meaning, what we make it's not meant to just go be your day in, day out. We were always kind of guessed up or a little bit more dressy and a little bit more dressed. I was always planning the events that you were wearing these clothes to. And I was like, why are we not doing wedding gowns? That's the ultimate party. And that's the ultimate like event to be wearing a dress. So that's how we ended up doing bridal.
So you would think about things that you would have to, like your design process might be like, gosh, I need to create things that were things that you would want to wear to a wedding or to a cocktail
Oh
party.
no, Leslie, I would plan a party and then be like,
Oh, no.
what am I wearing to this party? And then design pieces that would go to this party. And subsequently, like a lot of our shows, and we used to show a lot more than we do now, but a lot of our shows were truly like fun events. You always got a cocktail and food. And I've always had this motto, which nothing says chic like matching your drink to your dress, because doesn't everyone think that way?
I love
So,
that.
you know, we would throw these fashion shows that were really kind of like parties that I would set the scene of where you were wearing these clothes in my fantasy world, and then serve the food and the drink that matched all of it.
I love that. So, because I want to talk a little later about all of the two books that you've done about entertaining. So, the entertaining piece has always been part of your story and your process.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I love to entertain. I love to cook. I love to like set a table, but I love to like match it to what I'm wearing. I love to have everything just kind of work as one idea. And so it's just always been a huge part of what we do. And so we really try to bring that entertaining piece into every collection, but also into our store setting. Like we have all of this tabletop and craziness going on. And, you know, people are always like, because I go give talks on these books, and people are
Right.
like, but you're a fashion designer. And I'm like, yeah, I know.
That's just one part of the puzzle, though. That's just one part.
Right.
So, in 2023, you created Lela Rose Ranch, and that was you needed to have stuff to wear in Jackson. Was that sort of like the idea of?
Well, you know what's
You know, the-
funny is I grew up in Texas, and we've always had this family ranch called Ray Rosa, and it's something that my dad built. My dad's no longer around, but he was, you know, both my parents have been a huge influence on my life. And I have always loved kind of like this elevated 40s, 50s cowgirl look. So there were multiple pieces of Lela Rose Ranch that we had done 15 years prior, because I'd always been like, we're going into ranch wear and we're going to do this fabulous stuff. And the entire office, who's based in New York, was like, what? And then we would do these like beaded Western shirts, and we'd get the costing back, and I'd be like, I don't know how we're going to sell that to Neiman's and Bergdorf's, but so we never even showed it to them, but I would develop this stuff. So when we started Ranch, because I was living out in Jackson Hole full time, and I was like, okay, you know, sitting out here, I would be Zooming from my kitchen, and I was like, this is just not a creative outlet enough for me. We're opening a store, and I'm finally doing Lela Rose Ranch. And everyone was kind of like, okay. Like, she's gone off the deep end. And I found this absolutely precious log cabin, like this teeny little postage stamp log cabin. It is 384 square feet. It is insanely small, but it's the cutest thing. And then there's 100 square foot log cabin. It's like a dollhouse log cabin behind it. And I was like, that's our store space. It's in the middle of Wilson, Wyoming, which no other high-end stores are there. Everyone is in Jackson. So we get calls all the time at the store, and they're like, where in town are you? And we're like, oh no, we're not in town.
It's like the Gucci or at Marfa. Yeah, you've got like your own. It's a
Yeah, we are our own little Prada Marfa.
It's a product, exactly. Yeah. Oh my god.
It's pretty funny. So I found this space, but I was like, this is the cutest log cabin I've ever seen. We're opening up the Lela Rose Ranch store. And the whole office is like, okay, Lela, go do your own little passion project. And all righty. But a lot of the pieces that we started with, and one shirt that we still run today
Yeah.
was done like 13, 15 years ago. Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing. I love that. It was so interesting because I thought one of the questions, which might lead me into the next question, is about like what you should pack when you go. And then looking at Lela Rose Ranch, I'm like, the answer is it's all there. I mean, that you
Yeah.
just go
Don't
to
pack
Wilson,
anything.
Wyoming.
Just go straight to Lela Rose Ranch.
Exactly.
Outfit yourself in a full like cowgirl, 40s cowgirl look where everyone's like, but I don't dress Western. And I'm like, but it's not all Western. I just do it Western.
So good. We moved to Nashville last year. I think I need to go online.
You
and
need some
see how
Lela Rose
I can
Ranch.
get some of my Lela Rose
It's pretty
Ranch.
dang fun.
Yeah, 100%.
But
So when did you get out to Jackson though itself? When did you start spending
we
time there?
moved out here. This was a COVID thing. I'd been in New York for 30 years. Oh, God, how old am I? I'd been in New York for 30 years full time and raised both my kids there, but my daughter was graduating 8th grade and she was having to go on to, her school ended in 8th grade, so she was heading on to high school. And my COVID hit. My husband had been wanting to leave New York for probably 15 years prior. And I was always like, leave New York? Who would ever leave New York? What are we talking about? No. And I think he saw his exit ramp and was like, it's COVID, we're moving and we're going to Jackson. And I was so discombobulated, like trying to figure out how to keep a business alive when you make clothing to go to events and you were going nowhere except your Zoom camera. And I was like, how are we going to survive this? And so I don't remember saying yes or no, but next thing I knew, I was like, Rosie's enrolled in high school in Wyoming? Like what? So we moved out to Jackson full time. I mean, we've been coming out here for 26 years, but we moved out here full time. And as I said, I was sitting in my kitchen, kind of like, this is not, I can't be creative enough sitting in a kitchen, Zooming with the office. I was like, we're opening a store. It's going to be Lela Rose Ranch. And forever, we'd been doing these kind of trunk shows out here. And I'd always brought all of my like Navajo belts and, fabulous pieces to show people how to style the clothing. And everyone's like, well, can I buy those? Can I buy that? And I'd be like, no, that's my private stuff. Like, no, I'm just showing you how to style. And then I was like, why are we not carrying all of this stuff? So I started, working with all of these fabulous dealers. So, I mean, it is so funny. This store just has an amalgamation of like fabulous vintage buckles down to one-of-a-kind jackets that we buy vintage suede jackets, send them off, have them fully re-embroidered.
I saw all those vintage suede jackets. That's amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty
Some
fabulous.
vintage jackets that you're then kind of,
Reworn.
embellishing.
What I love about them is they're already kind of worn in.
Yeah.
But they're not new. They're not new jackets. So each piece is truly a one of a kind. And we just re-embroider them, reline them, kind of fix them up, and then they just go live this whole new fabulous life. But I mean, I have some stuff like old Sioux beaded pants in there and gauntlet gloves. I mean, it is truly just my passion project of whatever I want to throw in there. I'm just like, yep, it's going in the ranch store.
Tell us though, because I think I was reading that you've been really supportive of different embroiderers and people who sew and just dressmakers that are kind of independent people in New York. Did I get that right? Are you engaged
in New York and
them
other
in the work?
places too?
Yeah.
Like we're always looking for artisans who really celebrate their craft and, do various things. And how can we work with them and kind of bring their work to our audience and let people kind of know. The reason why I brought up those vests from the 40s and 50s is a lot of what I was doing back then, I'm kind of redoing today, which is finding all of these old pieces and giving them this new life and figuring out ways to work with people that really are kind of in different areas that, they're in Montana or they're here in Wyoming and they do fabulous beadwork. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, we need to celebrate this. And these aren't people that you're finding in New York City. And they're not people that you're kind of accessing. But, being out west now has just kind of brought a whole new lease on life of creativity and just access to different stuff. And I think it's
Yeah.
pretty fun.
All right. So you move out there full time. Tell me sort of like a 30,000 feet. What is it about the area or Jackson itself that you gravitated towards, or what do you kind of love about it?
So, I mean, you're in the Tetons, and I get this way about New York City too. Every time I land in New York City, I can just feel that buzz of excitement. When I see the Grand, which I see multiple times daily, it just still makes me gasp. Like, the beauty of it is so astounding. We have, like, I sleep, okay, this is going to sound very strange to your audience. We put up a glamping tent over on this other little property that's kind of close to the Snake River. I basically sleep out there every night.
It actually sounds heavenly.
My husband is always like, you don't want to sleep inside? I'm like, no, night. I'm going to the tent. Like,
By the way, this is a lot of uses for wives being like, they just sort of, you're not at risk, no kids, no husband, trying.
I know. I take
everything.
my
It's
two
just
dogs. I've got a coffee. I mean, I've got a king 4-poster bed out there with a king size mat. I mean, it is fully glamping. I've got my fabulous coffee maker, which froths my milk, but you wake up to the sound of the birds chirping and the geese flying over the water. Like, I was hearing a sandhill crane this morning, and I had a big elk walk right by the tent.
oh, stop it.
Yeah. And I was like, this is just heaven. Like, you wake up to this crisp, cool air. The summers here are unrivaled. They're amazing. The hiking that you do is just, I mean, I love to get out there and really do some fabulous hikes. And unlike a lot of places, the hiking can be pretty difficult here. So there's hikes that you'll go on and you'll see 2 other people out there, and you're just like,
Yeah.
this is amazing. But
That's
you have moose in your yard. We have moose that come up on our porch in Wilson all the time.
Oh my gosh.
And
So-
you're like, oh, sorry, you're trapped in here, poor customer. Let's try some more things on you.
by the way, that's like cue the moose. You should
Yeah,
get
seriously.
kind of moose that
We're
comes
like,
in and
we're like,
traps people.
so-and-so, cue the moose, stage left.
So you just made me think of something I didn't think to ask before, but the weather. So during the day, it's 60s,
it can be
70s.
82,
Okay.
absolutely gorgeous. And then at night, it's like 68, and you have on like a little wrap. And I wake up in the
Heaven.
morning to like this. I mean, the weather here is amazing. And then you kind of look around the rest of the country and you're like, ooh, so
Oh, yeah.
hot.
Oh, yeah. You're looking at your friends in Long Island or wherever,
Or Texas.
or Texas or Nashville. Oh my God. So you're headed out to Jackson. You can't wait. You've got your suitcase. What do you, besides your incredible pieces you're going to get from Lela Rose Ranch, what do you need to pack? What's your
You know what? This is so cliche to say this, because every mountain town that I go to, everyone says the exact same thing. And so here I am saying the cliche thing that everyone says. Everyone's always like, oh, my mountain town is so low key. You can wear whatever you want. And I do think Jackson Hole is pretty low key. So basically, you can pack whatever you want. Like, you don't need heels. Frankly, I'm wearing my Birkenstocks with socks on a daily basis.
oh my
Not so chic.
Birkenstocks? Yeah.
Like, when you're out on a hike, I mean, I start with my Birkenstocks with fur on the bottom and then change into my hiking shoes. But you really can be very low key here. I'd like to think that we're trying to kind of change the dress out here, where people are dressing up more, not dressing up, but just being dressed and not walking around in your yoga pants all day,
Right.
which as a fashion designer, I have always appreciated clothing and what clothing can do for you, which I think it can just put you in a different mood, where if you kind of are in your sweats all the time, which I've always been with Karl Lagerfeld, that if you're in your sweats, you've given up. Now, of course, right now I'm in my pajama bottoms. So does that count?
I tried to put on this pair of pants this morning. I've really been, I mean, there's not a piece of cheese that hasn't met my mouth in the past 6 weeks. And so I could barely get in these pants. I'm like, I just took a wrap, like a bathing suit wrap. And I have that on the bottom here. So I love that you and I are doing the Folger Zoom commercial where we, are keeping it pretty together, from the waist up. But
From the waist up. From the waist up only.
Everything below, at least in my case, is really, things are really come off the rails.
But all right, so I love to be dressed going into dinner. And of course, I put a Western spin on everything. But that's kind of the look that I love out here because I truly love that old kind of 40s and 50s cowgirl. But I find some really exceptional pieces and we do some really fun stuff. But where you don't have to go for the whole Western thing. People are always wearing bandanas out here. One of the things that we sell in the store, which I just geek out over massively, are these vintage scarf slides made by Boy Scouts in the 60s and the 70s. And they're these wooden scarf slides that were all hand carved by Boy Scouts back in the day. And sometimes they'll put their dates or their initials on the back. Like I've got one right now that's an old wooden backpack that has a pop top that's how you put the scarf through. I'm like, that's genius.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know, they're hilarious. But I'm like, you don't have to go with the whole look. Get a Boy Scout scarf slide and wear it with your bandana.
Taking a quick break here to tell you a little bit about my latest sponsor, Karoon. I am a huge fan and customer of their products, and I promise once you see their things, you will be too. Karoon is a contemporary travel brand with the most beautiful custom bags, hand-painted bags, totes, luggage, travel accessories, and more. They even have gorgeous mahjong mats that you won't find anywhere else. Their products are made of the finest Italian leather and canvas, and Karoon really harkens back to a bygone era in their design of travel and exploration. Their products make the best hostess presents, birthday gifts, thank you gifts, particularly because they can all be personalized with someone's monogram or their pet or any creative thing that you come up with. You may have seen some of Karoon's products on celebrities like Jennifer Aniston, Jennifer Garner, Reese Witherspoon. The list goes on there. And of course, they're also among Oprah's very favorite things. Any bag or gift from Karoon is just the thing that you'll need this summer to travel to all of the great places that we have covered so far and more to come in our summer travel series. And what's more is that interview listeners get 20% off of any Karoon purchase. So go visit their website at www.karoon.com. Karoon is spelled Corroon, so that's Corroon. Enter the promo code, the interview, when you check out. Trust me, you won't be disappointed. And now here's more from Lela. Okay, so you're packing, and where would you, for people that are not going to stay with you in the glamping tent, which I might invite myself to do at some point, where would you recommend people stay?
Oh, there's some great hotels here. Like there's the Caldera House. There is, which is fabulous, also super expensive, fabulous. But like you can stay in town at the Cloudvale. It depends on when you're here. In the winter, I would always stay closer to the mountain. So like that is the Caldera House. Then, if you want to stay in town, which has its own attributes, like I would definitely say the Cloudvale. There's also the Amangani, which is kind of a halfway in between the two. I mean, there's some fun places. There's this adorable little bed and breakfast called the Wildflower Inn, which is basically across the street from our subdivision here, which no one even knows about. But I'm always like, that place is chic. And talk about moose walking by you as you're having your coffee.
Okay, so then you're getting dressed up in your Lela Rose Ranch. You want to go out in the town. Let's talk restaurants. Are there classics sort of and maybe there's actually cookout, camp out things. I mean, you obviously are going to tell us the whole thing, but are there sort of restaurants that you think can't be missed for dinner?
Yeah, there definitely are. I mean, the most classic, kind of well-known and very Jackson Hole restaurant is Snake River Grill, and that's been around for years. And they kind of treat you to a Jackson experience, and it's very fun. I don't go there tons and tons because it just gets, it gets pretty crowded, and I'm not organized, and so I never make reservations in advance. But that's in town. There's another restaurant that's one of my favorites. It's Kampai, and it's sushi, and it's amazing. But what is so fun is to like eat at these restaurants in town, and then you have to go to the Cowboy Bar. The Cowboy Bar is not to be missed. It is still today, and I've been going there for 26 years. You can dance with actual cowboys. You can look like the biggest idiot out there, but you are having a blast. They bring in bands. You can sit on these, the bar stools or saddles. It is so much fun.
So I can live my Yellowstone fantasy, like I'm like a Dancing with a Rip type character at the
yeah. No, and they are damn good dancers. And it is a total blast. Like, it is not to be missed at all.
What about sort of breakfast or coffee spots?
So in Wilson is a little bit off the beaten path as a town. A lot of people don't really know where the town of Wilson is because people just think there's the village, there's the mountain, and then there's town. But Wilson is kind of like this old cowboy town. And there's this fabulous Nora's Fish Creek Inn, which is fabulous. And it's like good breakfast food, and they've got pizzas at night, but like it is this old timey, it is where a lot of the locals still hang out and just go get their coffee, go get their flapjacks, and just hang out. It's fun.
I mean, you had me at flapjacks on that one. Like, totally bought it. And then what about if you wanted to go out? I guess you can go to the Flying Cow. Is it the Flying Cowboy Bar you just mentioned? But if you wanted to have
the Flying Cowboy Bar, it's the Cowboy Bar.
I don't know where I don't know where I came up with flying. You can see my fantasy mind is reeling. So is there sort of a place to go for like a beautiful view to have a drink or like something?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. Well, the Amangani, which is actually closed down right now because they're renovating, their view is exceptional. And their view kind of up the valley is amazing. But, a lot of times, and I did a chapter on this in the book, are sundowners, which is a term that if you've ever been on safari in Africa, very first time I went, I was like, sundowner? What's a sundowner? And then you just show up and you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I was like, I'm recreating this in Jackson Hole. But so a lot of times when we have friends in town and we want to go have like a sunset drink, we just kind of go out to some of my favorite spots that you can just watch the sun go down over the Tetons and have a cocktail, and then you head into town for dinner.
Will you bring, because as you said, the sundowner setup is pretty, can be very lovely and very elevated. Will you bring sort of a table and a
table, cloth, the whole kit and caboodle?
So there's all these opportunities out there to entertain outdoors.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Which I love. I want to be outdoors as much as I can in the summer. Obviously, I sleep in a tent every night. Let me qualify that. It's a glamping tent. But, I camp a lot too. I love camping, like actual camping. But, I think eating outdoors here, you're always kind of hearing the water, or there's I cannot tell you how many parties I've had outdoors where actual moose start walking by and people are like, how'd you get the moose to come in? And you're like, just showed up. You just really kind of never know what you're going to get. And
so what do you think, for you, if you're going to have an outdoor dinner or something, what do you think, what would you serve, or what do you think makes for a great dinner party?
Well, I'm doing one tonight. So, and I'm doing fried chicken. I'm doing this, carrot avocado salad. I love when I tell you I'm doing it outside, I'm not just doing it right outside of my kitchen. Of course, I love to make things way more difficult than they have to be. So I'm hauling it all over to our picnic area because we've got a fire pit right there. You can have cocktails up on the levee and watch the snake go by, the Snake River go by. I just, fried chicken for me is like yes, it's a pain to cook it, but I don't know. I do it so often that it's like whatever.
I love serving that too in the summer because you can have it be room temperature, right? If you're taking
Room
it to a different
temperature,
location.
hot, cold, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's always good. We're having banoffee pie,
What is
which,
banoffee pie?
oh God, it's so good. It's a graham cracker crust, and then you put this dulce de leche. So I make this dulce de leche, and then caramelized bananas, and then with a little bit of espresso whipped cream on top. It sounds a little down. It sounds like a banana. What's a Nilla wafer pie? What am I talking about?
Yeah.
It's like the most elevated version of that, and it is divine. But I just, I'm a huge outdoor entertainer, and I truly believe you can entertain in elevated ways outdoors. You just need kind of a mix of high-low. And by low, I do not mean red Solo cups and paper plates. I mean I collect all these kind of glasses that have leather kind of koozie cup holders. They're like 50s and they're fabulous. And I'm like, these are the perfect things for outside. Like your glass.
I can only imagine your storage, oh,
it's insane.
That you keep things or because I love all the things that you collect.
My storage is a little crazy and it's basically taken over the garage.
So are there I love the high low. Are there other kind of must-haves on your low list? What have you found to be like that you like to use a lot for your dinner parties or?
Well, so when I say high-low, like I have some musts for entertaining outdoors. I'm like cloth napkins, glassware, but there's so many ways to use glassware where it's not going to break, like where it either has rattan holders or like I use these leather ones. I use enamelware plates, but everything is super cute and fun. Like I'm not using paper, plastic, and hell no on a red Solo cup. Like I get hives over a red Solo cup. And when someone hands me a drink in a red Solo cup, I'm like, I actually bring my own ball jar of cocktails everywhere that I go. And so I have a lid on there and I just drink. I mean, I'm like an old curmudgeon that is like, I'm not so sure your cocktail is going to be good enough for me. So I brought my own.
But what do you have a signature cocktail that you like to have? Or what do you think people should have stocked at their bar for a dinner party?
I'm a huge believer in a specialty cocktail, but kind of getting back to that high and low that I was talking about, I'll do I'll order in from Joe's Crab, whatever I'm trying to say.
The place in Miami.
Yeah. Yes. I'll order in from there and we'll do like crab claws and all this stuff. And I will paper the table in newspaper. Or I'll do this with crawfish boils where you paper everything in a newspaper. And it's just like, you just roll up the table at the end of the night, but it's so cute and fun. Like there's no reason. I think you just have to like have a few things that you can entertain outdoors. Like I am a little nutty, so keep this in mind. But like I go out and I find these sticks that have Y's in them, and then I pour concrete into buckets, and then I have these sticks hanging up, and then I hang all kinds of stuff from my sticks, like cups. And, I just create these really fun, they're a little like Wes Anderson camp scenes.
But so for people listening who want to see this lot, like you probably cover a lot, you talk about
and we have imagery on all this. I mean, I do this like
in your book.
We did this in the book, but I also this is like, I have these stick buckets everywhere. I've got them at the store. I've got them outside. I made, signs that say cocktails out of like little wood chips that look very Adirondacky. And, you know, I'm a crafter at heart.
I know you are. I mean, I'm not quite Lady Solo Cup, but I could rock a bamboo plate sometimes and just throw it in the.
So I have these
Yep.
fabulous bamboo plates that we have at the store that are amazing. And we had them custom done where they have like buffalo and they say Jackson Hole or there, and you can reuse them 6 times. I use those all the time. I use clothespins to like hold your napkins down. I'm a little bit of a throwback to like camp, but not camp when they used plastic stuff. But I've got a ton of enamelware mugs. I'll serve my cocktails out of that. I don't care.
Just on the store piece, which made me think about it when you were talking about your having the bamboo plates in your stores. What other stores besides Lela Rose Ranch do you think people have to visit when they?
Well, there are some fabulous stores here. Like they're mostly all in town. There's a great store called Women Folk, and she carries all vintage in there, but she does a lot of consignment from women who've kind of been here for a long time, and it's their old cowgirl stuff, and then she'll just have that in the store. Women Folk is very fun. There's New West knives, which are made in Wyoming, and they're these beautiful knives that are truly made like 4 hours away in Wyoming and all designed here. Very cool, which men always love.
Yeah.
There's Rodeo up at the Village, which is a multi-brand store, which people love. But the ones that are kind of there's Sing Hats. That's a girlfriend of mine who does these fabulous hats and she shapes them in front of you. And, they're great.
And what about, is there a place to buy cowboy boots? Maybe at the ranch.
Well, so yeah, we have vintage boots at the ranch store. Now, of course, that is like a Cinderella story.
Yeah.
You gotta like them, B, fit in them.
Yes. And people were smaller back then, right? So is it,
Oh my God.
like a size 5 or something?
I cannot tell you. I have so many we sell the 8s and 9s like that.
Yeah.
The 5.5 and 6s just sit there because I'm like, it's got a small foot.
Amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
so you're in Jackson, you're doing some shopping, you've had a sundowner. We talked a little bit about hikes before we started recording and stuff hikes you love to do, but tell us about other certain hikes people must do hikes if you're coming as a tourist in the summer. And then
Well, it depends on your
fishing
hiking level.
Yeah.
Because that's the funny thing. You already are at a fairly high elevation. And I think altitude really does kind of get some people. It doesn't get me. But so I'll have a lot of friends who are like, oh no, I'm a big hiker. And I'll be like, okay, great. We're going to go do kind of what I call an easier hike. And we get to the overlook, which is 30 minutes in, and they're dying. And I'm like, I don't think we're going to make it. But this is actually the hike that I always take kind of people on as introductory, it's called Death to Patrol. So you start at Death Canyon and you kind of hike up to this overlook and you're overlooking Phelps Lake and it is utterly gorgeous. And then you kind of go down a little and then go way back up and you're going through Death Canyon to this old ski patrol cabin. And really, for me, it's such a beautiful hike. It's not particularly hard, but I do hike a lot. But I can generally tell by the overlook whether you're going to make it or not. And if you're not going to make it, I'm like, let's go down to Phelps Lake and we can think about jumping off the rock into the water and then just hiking back up.
That might be me on that hike. But that's so cool that there's an old ski patrol cabin up there and kind of get the lay of the land that way. And then if you were to try to find it, could you put it in Google Maps and you?
Oh yeah, you
right
can.
There,
well, I don't know if you can do Google Maps, but I know you can do All Trails. And
okay, right. I forgot about
it through that. I mean, there are so many amazing hikes here. There's one called Two Oceans. Now that one's kind of more of a pain. It's not as difficult, but you're there looking at two lakes and you're looking at Moran, which is it's actually the hardest peak to climb here. Well, maybe not the hardest, but it's the hardest technically. And I've done that a few times. Like you have to canoe over there, store your canoe, hike up to camp.
That's
It's
kind
pretty
of fun.
fabulous.
Now,
Yeah.
for people that are coming, is there like some sort of a outdoor kind of outfit or company that does fly fishing or
Yep. There's a
canoeing and
ton
things
of
like
fly
that?
fishing companies. There's West Bank Anglers, which of course my husband is a part owner in, so I'm going to plug that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. West, what's it?
West Bank
West
Anglers.
Bank Anglers, everybody. We've got
And they're the two best outfitters here are West Bank and Worldcast. They have the best guides for fly fishing. You can go out, like you go over to Swan Valley in Idaho and you kind of float, you know, this whole portion of the canyons down there. You can stay in these overnight glamping tents, which are amazing, but you do have to preset that up. There's Exum guides, which I do all of my kind of mountaineering stuff with, and backcountry skiing with. Like we do a lot of skinning in the winter where you put skis on and hike up
Yeah.
mountains and then ski down them.
So as you mentioned that to me earlier, so some of the hikes that you do that might involve like rock climbing or something, if people want to try that, there are.
Oh, for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm never doing technical rock climbing without a guide. I think it's just way too dangerous. I mean, I also don't know anything about setting up the ropes and all of
Yeah.
that stuff. And I don't really want to know. I'm just like, make sure I'm tied in.
No free solo over here. No.
Oh
free
God,
solo.
no,
None.
no
It's like
free solo. But Exum is a great guiding. They're a great outfitter for both
Okay.
summer and winter. Like they do amazing winter activities and amazing summer.
So in the summertime, are there any kind of big summer events or things people might want to? Isn't there a hot air balloon thing that I've seen on Friends?
There's a hot air balloon. I've never done it, but it is beautiful in the morning. You can not skydive, paraglide
Okay.
off the top of the mountain, like, but also in the summer, like these are things that you can go do without a guide, like where I was talking about jumping off of Phelps Rock.
Yes.
That's a pretty high rock that you jump into Phelps Lake off of. It's pretty dang fun. I mean, it's probably a 25-foot drop that you just run off this, the edge of a rock straight into Phelps Lake. It's pretty amazing. There's a few rocks like that are great. Like String Lake, we used to always take picnics where we would, take paddle boards and canoes over to String Lake and we'd have these picnics with the kids. And
if you were to do that, like a picnic or set up, and you obviously cook all, it sounds like you love to cook and are a great cook. But is there like a prepared food place or a place to get sandwiches or a market that you?
There's places that do all kinds of, now, of course, at Lela Rose Country Market, we also have a prepared food.
Really?
Basket.
I didn't realize. I missed that.
Ours is not so friendly in that it happens every 2 weeks and it's on the appointed day. So you kind of have to hit it. Ours is not foolproof, but there's like Creekside Deli, which has always been super popular with locals. You can just stop in, get sandwiches. The Aspens Market does that. Like there's a picnic company called Edgewild, and she will set up these gorgeous picnics out in the middle of different areas that you probably wouldn't get to. So like someone who's a little bit more of a pre-planner, I would call Edgewild. And like when I've got friends coming in town and they're kind of looking for something fun like that to do and they've got something to celebrate, I'm like, get Edgewild to set up a picnic for you, because you can just show up and it's like set up gloriously and it's gorgeous, and then you just walk away. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So are they a caterer that you could use also for, do they just sort of do outdoor things? Or
they are kind of really more outdoor picnics, but there's tons of caterers, and I can give you lists of caterers if you want to list caterers that out here that I think are fabulous and do amazing food. But people are pretty enterprising out here because we've got a short season. It's
Right.
basically summer and winter, and then you've got the shoulder seasons, which are dead. So people are pretty enterprising about kind of what they'll offer and what they'll do for you.
So for people that, are visiting in the summer, would summer in your mind kind of extend into September? Like, is it sort of like late May to September, or when does the
No,
weather come?
it's really not late May. I mean, this year we had the most amazing May, which was fabulous. But really, I kind of think you cannot count on nice, warmer weather until the third week of June. So
Okay.
it starts pretty late. The beginning of June has its own attributes, like the morels are popping up. So you can always go like
Wow.
morel hunting, which is so much fun.
So
I do
fun.
that. I do that hours on end in late May and early June. But this
And
is
then
kind
what
of,
do you, I mean, I can only imagine what you do. What's your dish once you,
oh, well, I make morel pizza.
yeah.
Morel gravy. I do tons of stuff with morels, but then I also dry them. So I use those sticks again,
I was
my
going to ask you,
stick
do you hang
buckets,
them on the sticks?
and I string them up in between strings. And so I have this whole like morel installation where they're drying for a few days. And then I just store them and use them throughout the year. Um, but I was going to say, this is kind of a, secret that I shouldn't be saying, but I'm going to anyway. I think one of the best months here is October because September, people are still around some. October, people have really kind of gone. The weather can be gorgeous. The animals really start coming out where you'll have bears in your backyard and you're just like, ah,
The
like,
bears are probably like, wait a minute, this might be my last hurrah, right? They're
yeah.
looking, right? To get ready. The leaves are probably changing too.
The
Yeah.
the fall foliage is, oh my God, astounding. I mean, you can go on these hikes up in the park where you're just like mind blown. It looks so different than what it does in the summer. And it's just October here can just be pretty dang fabulous.
Secret. That might be when I have to invite myself to your glamping tent.
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know how you sleep or you get so much done in a day. I'm just like listening. I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing. What is there another project, like something, another thing like a Lela Rose Ranch or something that you've always wanted to do or something that you're thinking about as a
Well, I'm not sure I'm supposed to be disclosing this, but I'm going to anyway. And I've always wanted to design cowboy boots. And we have a collaboration with Lucchese coming out in spring of next year, which I am like Lucchese. I don't know if you know that.
yeah, I do.
They're such a heritage brand and always known for their quality. And I've been down to their factory and seeing their craftsmen, and it is just mind blowing what they can do. So I'm so excited about that. We're opening up stores. We've got 2 new slated. We're opening up one in Fort Worth in September, which, is so advantageous for me because I'm about to drop my daughter off at TCU in Fort Worth in early August. She has no idea what kind of heat is about to hit her.
It is so. We moved to Nashville last summer, and our then 12-year-old started early football on July 29th. And I thought, I've spent some summers working in Washington, D.C. I can totally,
Yeah.
this is not a big deal at all. It is like, it's a whole other level of heat.
And really, I mean,
Real.
I grew up in Texas, so I've always been like, no, I'm used to Texas heat.
Yeah.
It's gotten so much hotter, and I think Nashville is the same way, where you are just like, oh,
No, you
mean,
can't sit outside. We have this great screen.
you cannot be outside.
Yeah.
I used to laugh with my mother, and this is 20 years ago. I would come back to Dallas, and we'd be going to a restaurant, and I'd be like, are we going to sit inside or outside? And she'd be like, oh my God, no, we've got to sit inside. We can't sit outside. It's too hot. I'd be like, okay, so let me grab my parka because
Yes.
everything is so overly air conditioned that you're sitting inside with the parka on. And then you walk outside and you're just dying.
It is so true. You can hang meat in most of the restaurants and places.
Yeah.
And then you go outside and you can't. Yeah.
You can't breathe.
that
Talk
is-
about needing an inhaler.
Exactly. That is where I should be bringing my inhaler. Thank you for that tip.
Mhm.
So Fort Worth, where else? I cut you off. You were telling us another store.
Well, we haven't finished the lease on that, so I shouldn't say
Okay.
where that
Okay.
is. But
Don't say it
but
though.
we've got 2 stores lined up for this Fort Worth is opening in September, which I'm super excited about. We just redid our store in Dallas in Highland Park Village, which we've kind of redone it in the world of Lela Way, which it's like an elevated, it's not ranch, it's basically the world of Lela, but it's like, I think the older I've gotten, the longer I've been in business, I'm just like, I'm doing me and I'm doing it the way I want to do it. And so we have these dressing rooms that are built out of terracotta, they're called breeze block. You can basically see through them. People are like, what is this? I'm like, it's gorgeous. So we're just no longer doing kind of like what you might expect. We're just like, I'm just like, I don't care.
People are coming with you. I mean, that's that's where the love of all the things you do comes from, is that you're doing you know?
Yeah, it is pretty fun. And it's so nice to have people come with you. But even if they weren't coming with me, I'd still be like, I'm still doing it and I don't care.
Well, I am very
I'm like
excited.
old and curmudgeonly.
I love it. I have to go to Dallas for a podcast conference in August, but the store won't be open.
Oh my God, you're going to die. It's so
I
hot.
know. But I'll be in some kind of conference center and it'll be 42 degrees. So
you have to go by our store in Highland Park Village. It is, I'm so happy with, like, we carry the funniest things in there, from these fabulous ceramics that I found in this gallery in Waxahachie. And it's just, I mean, of course, I'm not even talking about the clothing. I'm like, the face jugs, the this, the that. It's just so much fun. And it's such
I love it all. I'm definitely going to go. I loved getting to dive into Jackson with you.
Yeah, Jackson's pretty amazing. It's a pretty cool town where it really does mix kind of like the old locals and true cowboys and ranchers with kind of the new. And it's, they hate one another, but
that whole, Yellowstone tension is around everywhere.
It's real.
West. It's real.
It's real.
But I'm kind of hoping I can, as I said, live my rip fantasy at that cowboy bar.
Oh, trust me. I call myself all hat, no cattle. I'm like, I'm your original all hat, no cattle girl.
But Lela, thank you so much. I appreciate you being on. I know you've got family visiting and you're, doing 1,000 different things. You're, getting ready for your dinner outside tonight. So I really appreciate you coming.
Well, it's going to be fun. All right. Well, Leslie, you too. Have a great day. So fun to chat with you and enjoy Dallas.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you.
Bring one of those fans that you can just like put on your face.
Oh, it sounds like I'll be in an Uber with my oxygen and one of those. Yeah,
it is hot right now.
I can't believe it too. So many friends from Newport that live in Dallas or Houston, all their kids start school in August. And same thing in Nashville. Our son started July 29th. I'm like, somebody's going to die. I mean, this is so
July 29th?
July 29th was early football for 7th graders. And he actually, we were in Newport he missed the whole, there were kids who've been doing it for weeks and weeks and weeks before that. It's bananas. But anyway, thank God you're in Jackson.
I know.
All right, my friend. I know. Have a great day. Fun dinner tonight. Say hi to Amelia and Catherine.
I will.
And thanks a ton. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That brings us to the end of this episode of the interview. A huge thank you again to Lela Rose for joining. I enjoyed every minute of my conversation with her. She is just really fun and brilliant and inspiring. And as I mentioned earlier, because of her, I can't wait to get out to Jackson, Wyoming. And she gave us that secret tip that October might be the right month to visit. So I think I'm going to be packing my bags. I'm heading out there. Then I also want to give a huge shout out to 10 Mile Distillery, our summer sponsor. They have, as I mentioned, and always mention, award-winning whiskey, Little West whiskey, and other spirits. And interview listeners get 10% off. So to check out all the amazing things the distillery has, go to their website at 10miledistillery.com. And don't forget the promo code, the interview, for 10% off. And then to our newest sponsor, Karoon, which has, as I've mentioned, beautiful and can be personalized totes and bags and luggage, all sort of harkens back to a bygone era. They're, as I mentioned, also one of Oprah's favorite things. And the other exciting thing about Caroon is that interview listeners get 20% off. So go to check out Caroon's website, www.caroon.com, CORROON. That's CORROON. And if you put in the interview promo code at checkout, you get 20% off, which is really awesome. And finally, a huge thank you to all of you for listening. I really appreciate it. I hope you're having a great summer. I can't believe today is the first day of August. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please rate or review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. We're releasing an episode with Wendy Benchley, Peter Benchley, the author of Jaws' Widow, and she's the executive producer of the 50th anniversary movie that's just came out this summer. And she's also an ocean conservationist and a real dynamo. So I'm looking forward to you hearing that conversation with Wendy Benchley next week. And with all that, this is Leslie, and thanks so much for joining the interview.